How to Speak Like a Rockstar CEO. On silence, coherence, and the human relationship to power. The silence before the applause. In the beginning was the Word. Gospel of John. Before we go anywhere, let me tell you what this reflection is really about. It's not about becoming louder. It's not about dominance, polish, or clever words. It's about a quiet inner question many of us carry into meetings, conversations, relationships, and even our private thoughts. I've sat in rooms where glowing numbers flickered like distant stars, and the fate of thousands seemed to hinge on a single sentence. In those moments, I sensed something almost magical stirring in the air. The most powerful person in the room often spoke the least. When they did speak, time seemed to slow. In physics, before a star ignites, there is compression. Gravity pulls matter inward until silence becomes unbearable, and then light erupts. This story is about that compression. That inner alignment. That moment when thought, emotion, and intention collapse into a coherent mind, the kind that makes people listen without trying. This is not about speaking more. It's about speaking from a place where the universe inside you agrees with itself. Clarity is gravity. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Albert Einstein. I once watched a man explain himself into invisibility. 60 slides, forecasts layered upon forecasts, every variable accounted for. He was smart, thorough, exhausted. When asked a simple question, what will happen next year? He opened a universe of details, caveats, and contingencies. Then the same question was asked to someone else. She paused, just long enough to think. Then she answered in 3 calm sentences. The room exhaled. In cosmology, complexity emerges from simplicity, but clarity emerges when complexity is integrated. The human brain works the same way. Too much information increases cognitive load. The listener feels lost, not impressed. We think explaining everything makes us sound intelligent. But intelligence, when coherent, knows what to leave out. Leaders don't narrate every equation. They name the trajectory. Clarity is gravity. It pulls attention toward it. The fractured signal of hesitation. Confidence is not knowing everything. It is trusting what you know. William James. I once coached someone who was undeniably capable, strategic, thoughtful, deeply committed. Yet he was passed over when it mattered most. The feedback surprised him. He lacked conviction. When I listened closely, I heard it immediately. I think. Maybe we could. It might be possible. Psychology tells us something uncomfortable. Humans don't evaluate credibility purely on content. We evaluate it on certainty of signal. Hesitant language fractures that signal. Imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. had said, "I kind of have a dream." The dream didn't change history. The coherence behind it did. Hesitation isn't weakness. It's human. But when we allow it to dominate our voice, we teach others to doubt what we ourselves believe. Silence, interestingly, does the opposite. Silence tells the nervous system something intentional is forming. In a universe filled with noise, a clear, coherent signal feels like truth. The body speaks first. We are feeling machines that think. Antonio Damasio. Before words arrive, the body has already spoken. Posture, pace, stillness. Eye contact. These are older than language, older than logic. Neuroscience shows that people decide how competent you appear in a fraction of a second, before conscious thought, before reason enters the room. I learned this the hard way. After one presentation, I was told my ideas were strong, but my body told a different story. Nervous movements, divided attention, a lack of grounding. The body cannot lie for long. In evolutionary terms, the body scans for safety and coherence. When your internal world is aligned, your physical presence reflects it. When it's fragmented, the fractures leak. Rockstar CEOs don't dominate space. They inhabit it. Their stillness does half the speaking. Stories, the language of the brain. The human mind thinks in metaphors. Joseph Campbell. Facts inform. Stories transform. A senior executive once learned this mid-speech when his CEO gestured silently to her heart. Speak from there. Neuroscience confirms it. Stories activate multiple regions of the brain, sensory, emotional, and memory networks light up together. Facts travel alone. Stories travel as systems. Think of 1,000 songs in your pocket. Not specifications, not data, a lived future. Stories are how consciousness remembers itself. They are how meaning survives complexity. In a universe made of patterns, stories are the patterns we recognize ourselves inside. The spotlight illusion. Ego is simply the need to be seen as separate. Eckhart Tolle. There is a moment when leadership stops being impressive and starts being honest. Mine came on a quiet final day at a company I was leaving. A colleague, someone strong and capable, told me, through tears, that I hadn't invested enough in him. It broke something open in me. I realized I had been performing leadership instead of practicing it. Showing off instead of showing up. The illusion is believing the spotlight belongs to you. The truth is that leadership begins when you step out of it. Ego wants credit. Leadership wants coherence. From me to we. It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. Harry S. Truman. Language reveals worldview. I did this. We are doing this. Social psychology shows that shared credit builds shared identity. When leaders absorb blame, trust accelerates. When they deflect it, systems fracture. Trust reduces friction. And friction determines speed. When things fail and a leader says, "That's on me," fear loosens. People move again. The system heals. Rockstar CEOs don't need applause. They create environments where others shine. Trust, the invisible architecture. The universe is made of stories, not atoms. Muriel Rukeyser. Trust cannot be announced. It can only be felt. Teams move faster when trust exists. They slow instantly when it doesn't. In systems theory, trust is the lubricant that allows complex systems to function without tearing themselves apart. You cannot communicate trust into existence. You embody it, or you don't. And when trust is present, even silence communicates more than words ever could. The quiet power of care. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. In the end, speaking like a rock star CEO has nothing to do with sounding powerful. It has everything to do with making others feel powerful in your presence. When attention turns outward, something ancient awakens. The nervous system relaxes. The tribe senses safety. The most commanding voice in the room is often the calmest, not because it dominates, but because it listens. And in that listening, people remember who they are. This is the sapiens way, where humanity reflects on the worlds it creates and the beings it is becoming. Thanks for your time. It's been a delight. What should we explore next? Comment, share, and save your insight. Subscribe to Orbital Reads and keep your thoughts bright.